There we go. I don't have it powered up, but that's coming to Maine with me.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
20 meters CW.
Yeah.
And
This
as well. And then this one's coming with me. Oh, this one's attached, but this is this one's coming too.
Yeah.
That's a 8-band. That's coming to Maine with me too. Hey Pete, how are you tonight?
Yeah, good, Larry.
That's
You hear me
good.
okay?
Yeah, it sounds good. Where are you located? I know you're in Foreland, right?
Actually, no, I specialize in not being in the right area. I used to live in West Virginia. I now live just north of Baltimore.
Oh, okay. You're about 400 miles south or 350 miles southwest.
Well, okay, maybe I should join the Monday net then.
I know, miss hearing you on there.
Yeah, 10-meter net.
Yep.
Well, my antenna is not really cooperative.
Yeah.
Your loop
The-
is not
The mag
cooperative?
loop, yeah.
Well, it works very well on FT8.
Says he who was
Yeah.
sculling crossbones to it just a little while ago.
Yep.
This can't be the same Jurgen that lived in Westfield then.
No, it's not.
No, some imposter.
Oh,
So, well, the big question is when well, I haven't heard you. I think I worked George KC1V this morning, but on, where was I? 80 meters, 40 meters, I don't even know. On FT8. So I don't know if anybody has heard you. Have you worked anybody local on FT8?
I worked somebody, I forgot what it was, from I think Long Meadow, East Long Meadow. I think East Long Meadow.
Rare DX.
Yeah.
The club is doing a big raffle, as some of you know. We're raffling off a Geochron plus a $300 Best Buy gift certificate. Tickets are $10. Raffle's going to be drawn at the Mount Tom Flea Market, and so the whole value of the whole thing is worth $850. And if you haven't seen the Geochron, it's pretty amazing. When I was down at the ARL or down at the W1AW in December, they had one up on the wall and it was beautiful, and it would make a amazing addition to anybody's shack, including my own. I'd love to have it here. Let's see here. We have a meeting coming up in February. Ken, do you remember the subject of the meeting? Oh, wait, it has to do with Amelia Earhart's flight around the world and the communications that she did, or that was done to keep track of her. So it should be really good. So that's the first Friday in February. We have.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it should be fascinating. It really should be. We
Well, they
have.
said the last person to hear from her was a ham.
Oh. Oh,
The
it'll be,
last transmission.
should be interesting. We have Winter Field Days coming up, not this weekend, but the following weekend. It runs 2 p.m. Saturday to 2 p.m. Sunday. We are joining forces with the Franklin County Club and meeting at the Notch Visitor Center parking lot in, is that Hadley or Amherst? I'm not sure which that actually is. I sent out emails the other day, and I'll be sending out more. We're meeting anywhere from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sunday. Bring and show off your portable HF gear, your mobile antennas, your portable antennas. We're going to do some operating. It should be a lot of fun. Atkins Farm is right down the street. There's heated bathrooms too at the visitor center. So if you have to go, you don't have to freeze your tuchus off in a frozen outhouse. You're actually going to a heated bathroom. And we don't know how busy or how not busy we're going to be, but already we've got a number of people that have said they're bringing some QRP rigs and some antennas to try out and look at and play with, and we can make some contacts too. It should be a lot of fun. And I think that's about it for now. Tonight we are going to learn all about reverse beacons, and we have Pete Smith there. What's your call, Pete?
Norway 4 Zulu Romeo.
And for ZR, who's coming to us from Baltimore, Maryland, about 400 miles south of us. And before I turn it over to you, are there any questions about anything that's going on? Anything that I mentioned, or did I forget to mention anything? Oh, one last thing too is the HCRA has, for the April meeting, we have show and tell coming up. So if you are building a kit or working on a project, and show and tell will give you the a 10-minute opportunity to showcase what it is you've built or are building, and you have a chance to win special prizes. Last year we gave out $25 gift certificates to Home Depot, and it's always a lot of fun. It gives people ideas of something new to build, and so that's in the April meeting. Start working on your projects now. Pete, I'm going to turn it over to you. The floor is yours. Do you want?
This is probably what I want here.
There we go.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay, well, I appreciate being invited to do this. I would like to start out. I don't know how we can do this as a process, but how many of you guys, how many of the people who are here tonight are CW operators? Okay, there's a couple I see. Can I scroll this? I don't know. Yeah, well, good. Anyway, how many of you operate FT8? Okay, there's a couple I see. Yeah. This whole idea, the reverse beacon network, got its start in a conversation that Felipe, PY1NB, and I had. My God, it's almost 14 years ago. When I was working with VE3NEA, testing the piece of software he wrote called CW Skimmer. And we were having a conversation about Skimmer, and he was the one who suggested the idea of using the software he'd already written for dxwatch.com to display Skimmer spots. Felipe wrote the first implementation of this, and the rest is really history. Now, I mentioned Felipe to you. He's since moved to Portugal. One of the key players, W3OA, has written all of the software for passing spots from the reverse beacon stations to the internet through our server. And it works very nicely. KM3T has babysat our servers through a whole bunch of growing pains and so on, and things are now in pretty good shape. Mark K7JMG is responsible for our new web page.
Oops.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. And just a couple other players, Nick SV3SJ, who now works at the ITU and can be heard occasionally on 4U1 ITU, wrote something I'll talk about a bit later called the spots analysis tool, which is really neat. And I do the non-technical sort of frontman stuff and write the RBN blog. So that's the group of us. We've all been together on this project since the beginning, except for Mark, who joined us a few years ago and has become invaluable, as you can imagine. Whoops. This is what the RBN looks like now. You start there on the left-hand side with over 200 at any given time skimmers that are active worldwide. They send their spots to the Windows aggregator software at each node. And that forwards it, reformatted and organized and so on, to the mothership, which is that gray thing you see there, where the database lives, the telnet server, and the web page. The telnet server feeds three relay servers. They go on to feed the clusters that we're all used to using from day to day. And that's where users get our spots. Now, as I say, we began 2008, 2009. We've had the good fortune to be right in the middle of the sort of SDR revolution. And so people have been able to get receivers both cheaply or in the case of the QS1R, for example, expensively to provide multiband coverage. We started sending spots to the retail clusters in 2009. And from 2010 really until through 2013, we had a huge increase in the spot volume and number of servers or number of skimmers. And we also had a heck of a lot of trouble just with the sheer volume of it. We're past that now happily. In 2019, we added the FT4 and FT8 coverage to the RBN. And in 2021, just as a benchmark, the RBN handled 11 million spots in 48 hours, or something in excess of 60 a second. Who knows where it's going from here? One thing I'm reasonably sure of is that unless Fort Meade decides that they want to release their skimmer software, we won't be doing SSB anytime soon. What is a skimmer or an RBN node? It's all volunteer. Software-defined receivers, as I said, can be anywhere from $20 to $600. The key thing about them is that they're set up to receive an entire band at a time, or in the case of some of these receivers, as much as 6 or even 12 bands at a time. You need some kind of an antenna, obviously. And the only thing that is really central to this, you need either the CW skimmer software or RTTY skimmer software running on a Windows PC. Licenses are, as it says here on the screen, $75, $50 after a 30-day free trial. So if you want to just try this with a software-defined receiver that you already have, you're home free. You can try it for 30 days. The aggregator software is provided by us free. The only other thing you need is a moderate speed internet connection. External to your computer, that is, going out into the world, it only needs to be 80 to 100K, and you've got plenty of bandwidth. Whoops. This is a picture of the new RBN website. As you can see, it has a lot of tools for filtering what spots you're seeing so that you can, for example, select only to see stations that are being spotted by skimmers in your CQ zone, your ITU zone, your DXCC country for that matter. And the same goes for the spotted stations. So, you know, if you go to the website, this is what you'll see, and that's pretty much what you'll do. Now, most of our spots, I should tell you, are still being handled by the so-called retail nodes. That's just any cluster node that chooses to handle RBN spots can do so. And we think that that's probably the way most people get them. So what do you see? obviously spots in real time as they come in. You can look at the archive data. You can download and play with the data for any given day since 2009. So if you want to refresh your memory on something or try to make sure you got a call sign correct, that's one way that we might be able to help you. The spots analysis tool has been there since the beginning, and it's gotten surprisingly little use. What it lets you do is you choose a skimmer node, like in this case, DK9IP, and then you choose a couple of stations that you think that station has probably spotted on a given band. And the analysis tool will very quickly graph the signal strengths that you were received at across time. This chart is every 2 hours, more or less, is one of those rectangular boxes. So it gives you some sense, for example, that I'm not going to beat W3LPL very much. Now, you hear a lot of discussion about RBN spots, and I've tried to be straightforward about this. One thing, there are 100 times as many spots sent by the RBN as are normally passed in a given day on the cluster network. On the other hand, everything is spotted, not just those that somebody might judge as rare and decide you ought to spot because of that. There are also lots of duplicate spots, although CC cluster for one system filters those out. And finally, we acknowledge there are too many busted spots, because even though we have over 99% accuracy per skimmer, because there are over 200 skimmers running at a given time, you can imagine that you get a certain amount of busts. And one of the things that I find myself doing a lot is explaining to people how they can minimize having their call sign busted. Mainly has to do with maintaining decent spaces between characters. So what we recommend, and you guys probably already know this, but I'll say it anyway. You should set filters at your cluster node or in the client that you use to save favorite combinations. AR cluster is my favorite, but there are lots of others that will also do a very nice job. And if you're a contester, one of the things you'll want to do is to develop a technique for jumping on spots quickly when they come along. And above all, do experiment. So here are a couple of examples of what I mean when I say filtering. For example, this AR cluster filter will trying to decide this one here. No, that's okay. It will pass any spots of me so that I can see when I'm being spotted and where. It will also receive any spots from non-skimmers from North America, or from skimmers where you've got more than 2 skimmers copying the station in one of these 5 states. So you can imagine that'll let you narrow it down pretty quickly to what you can probably hear and work if you substitute your states for those. It works reasonably well, I think. The other thing that's really kind of fun is that you can use the RBN to test your antennas. The way you do this is you go and transmit until you're spotted by a station, let's say in the direction that you have pointed your antenna. And then you want to try another antenna. So you QSY 300 hertz, 3.3 kilohertz, and set another CQ. And look at that, guy copies you again. Only you can see that now you're 24 dB weaker than you were before. So that tells you what you need to know about that second antenna. I do this a lot. Here's something new, really, it's just fully begun. We had a long debate about it because, you know, the guys who got involved with this to start with were CW types. And there's a lot of looking down noses at FT4 and FT8. Well, we decided that we really should try to carry it. The biggest problem was the sheer volume. I mean, typically right now, I have 7 bands of CW and 13 segments, you know, that like 14074 to 14078, 13 of those of FT4 and 8 simultaneously being reported to the RBN. And the volume is huge. On any given day, only about 7% of the spots that I send are CW. The rest of them are FT4, FT8. This just seems to be the way it is these days. So what we decided to do was to make these spots available via Telnet and encourage retail clusters, you know, people like NC7J or K1TTT or people like that, to carry these spots. And this slide has a list of clusters that we know are carrying our FT4 and FT8 spots. And finally, this slide has a collection of links that you can use to look things up, to learn more about this. I've purposely kept this short so that hopefully you guys will have some questions for me. So please come ahead.
So if you were looking for a certain station, so let's go back and say we were looking for Crozet Island there, the FT8 WW. Can you do a search on the reverse beacon network for his call, for that call, and see, or
Yes,
how?
absolutely. Let me get back to that screen. Over here on the spotted section, you can put any call sign in there.
Okay.
Or if you're not particularly looking for him, you can put any DXCC, like FT8W in that case, any zone, any CQ zone, even any continent, and it'll make it a more manageable fire hose of data.
Okay. So what we're looking at there. So if forgetting Crozet for now, as we're all waiting for Bouvet to come up. So if you click on like 40 meters, it would show the spotted contacts between the different continents going on at any given moment. Is that what we're seeing? Where we would see?
This is the spots that were generated in the last, I want to say less than a minute. This isn't even really representative. I wonder, maybe I can get rid of this and show you instead the RBN website live, if that would be useful.
Sure. No, we've got experienced hams to beginner hams on here, so the more we explain, the more everybody will understand.
Of course, sure. Now, how do I get rid of this thing?
So yeah, just close that and open up your browser.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to do. Stop sharing that for a minute. What's it doing to me here? In show. Okay, leave that. And rid that. And bring up the browser. Oh, come on, guys, don't do this to me. Okay, this is the last 5 minutes just now. The blue dots are the stations that are transmitting. The
Okay,
red dots
we
are-
can't see it.
Oh, you can't see it. How do we do that? Try sharing screen down here and see what it does.
Phoenix, Alabama, Maine, Pennsylvania.
How's that look?
Oh, that's perfect.
Okay. Well, you can see, I mean, this is just literally the last couple of minutes of spots. But if you wanted to look, for example, for and see where, whoops. I'm gonna type like that.
I don't know if he's still transmitting or not, but oh, I guess he is.
Well, this is 4 days ago.
Oh, okay.
Didn't I read somewhere recently that that his time
I thought his time ended last weekend.
expired? Yeah, so this was the last time he was heard, which was 4 or 5 days ago, and he was on 20 and 15 for a while there. Although I think that 15 may have been a pirate, because I think I recall hearing that he didn't have a 15-meter antenna yet. I don't know. But anyway, but you could make it so, you know, make it FT8 and a wild card, get the same results.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. And it reports at this point only the last 100 spots that meet the criteria. But this will give you a sense of what was involved with DL3s and so on.
Okay, so if you look back up at the screen that shows United States and the rest of the world, so you can see where the contacts are being made from, like the East Coast to, you know, Europe, right? Is that's what we're seeing?
Well, this is actually the other way around. The blue dots are the transmitters,
Okay,
and the red dots are the RBN nodes that are hearing them.
okay. All right, so you can go by band, by mode, by call sign.
Yeah, by mode. You can only listen to beacon or hear beacons if that's what you want to do.
Okay, and why is it called reverse beacon?
Well, the idea being that our beacons aren't transmitting, they're receiving.
Okay. Sounds good. Is there a way to see just spots to like the Northeast or versus seeing them all over the country?
Well, sure, you can specify the spotter, for example. You could say make it only the eastern part of the US. Or, as I have here,
Oh, okay, yeah.
or you could say any place. And after a little thrashing around, it'll start showing it to you. Oh, good, it's showing my favorite bug. I love this. For some reason, the line drawing program that we have stops at the zero longitude. And you have to pick it up at the other end. But it gives you at least a decent sense. We're still working on that. We're going to get that fixed.
Okay.
But you can see there's a lot of activity here. You can choose a band, for example. And you know, that's 10 megahertz spots for the last 11 minutes. Or See what's happening on 160. Get out of there. Come on. It's blocking me. Oh, there we go. Okay. It takes a while to think about, especially if it's looking back 10 months, but shorter is a lot easier. But so, for example, here's the 160 meter action between anywhere in the US and anywhere in Europe.
Interesting.
And down here, all of the specific frequencies are listed, as well as how long ago it was, and so on and so forth. This illustrates what I mentioned about too many dupes. I mean, do you really care how many times OK1CF was copied? You know, probably one would be enough if he was copied in your area.
Hmm.
So, for example, if we say CQ zones, okay, 1CF is being heard on 160 right now up your way, because that's where KM3T is and W1NT and a few others. Anyway, I encourage you just to get on, just reversebeacon.net and play around. See what attracts you, see what works.
Yeah, it looks neat. While you're doing that, I'm watching on my other screen. I'm playing with it too. Does anybody have any questions? I mean, it's definitely a little different than just getting standard spots into a spot collector. It's
I would like to know what percentage of our users of RBN spots are actually getting them through a traditional cluster. You all know how to tell if a spot has come from a skimmer, don't you?
no, I really don't know anything about Skimmer, so maybe you should go over what a Skimmer
Well, a skimmer is the
receiver, you said.
at a node at a location that is copying stations and sending spots in. So, for example, here I am. I spotted somebody while we were talking here. I'm not nearly so prolific as any number of these guys, but anyway, there's a lot to be heard, and we report it. But one of the things I would love to know is what percentage of our users actually get them from the same nodes that they used to get their cluster spots from. And I suspect the answer is probably fairly high. The way you can tell them on a regular cluster is that the call sign of the spotter will have dash and a number sign after it.
So you're saying, like, for us using one that has a -2 W1NT-2 or something that has a -1 after it is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry, to be clear, a lot of people like W1NT, for example, has set up a whole bunch of sort of sub skimmers, 1 through 6, covering various frequency bands and so on. But if those were to show up, say, on, well, like I said, NC7J or K1TTT or some other traditional cluster, they would show up as KM3T-1- number sign, or N4SVC- number sign. It's just a way of letting you know that they're automated spots rather than one that was sent from some normal spotter. Make sense?
Maybe anybody else have questions?
Yeah, we use this site a lot, and often look for eastern or northern east CQ zone as the beacon. But I always look at K1 TTT first. Is that weird?
Well,
Oh,
he's only in Peru, Mass. He's the closest to us. So, and he's at, 2,000 feet or so. So he's going to hear things that the rest of us are definitely not going to hear. But it definitely helps to know that he's hearing it here in New England within 60 miles of us versus some of these spotters, which are hundreds or thousands of miles from us.
Well, sure. So all you would have to do is sort by his call sign, and you'd see whatever he was hearing.
Right, we do that a lot. That's what I usually do, but I wasn't sure if that was the best way to do it. So
Right.
this is a great site. It's really fun and we love it. So thanks for working on it.
Well, it's been a lot of fun to do.
Sounds good. Anybody else have any comments or questions, or does anybody else use the reverse beacon network yet? Or no, heads are shaking. Is everybody gonna tinker with it now? More heads are shaking.
Definitely.
Well, let me ask, just because I'm curious, how many of you do a lot of you use clusters of one sort or another? K1 or whoever?
I use a spot collector in DX Labs, and it has, I think I have 3 or 4 sources that come up across the Northeast. But
Yeah,
it doesn't hear everything. I also go to other places looking at spots. So
Yeah. Well, this is just another tool, but it's one that has become fairly universal over the last 20 years. And we're very pleased with it.
cool. All righty. Well, this is really neat, Pete. Thank you very much for showcasing it. I had been hearing about it from a variety of people, but I had no idea what it was. And we appreciate you coming and joining us and showing us how everything is and how it works and how we can utilize it. Let me just do a last call up for any questions at all. No question is stupid. If you have a question, unmute yourself and ask. And
A stupid question. I saw before that there was a tutorial, but I didn't copy the website down. Can you flash that up again? So if we wanted more information on how to practice with this.
actually, Pete, can you send me your PowerPoint and we'll put it up on the HCRA website?
Absolutely, I'd be glad to.
Okay, so that'll go up sometime in the next couple of days once Pete gets that to me, and I'll get it over to Vanessa. She'll post it on the website for everybody to review. Who is the other person? Oh, Ann and Keith, go right ahead.
Yeah, this is Keith. I had a question. I'm used to the maximum lines of, you can see like 100 lines exposed. But what if you were doing research on somebody's call sign like yours, Larry, so like W1AST? Can we see like 10 months back, thousands of calls? How would that work?
Unfortunately, right now, no. Right now, we only go back 100 spots. Whoops, what happened? Dropbox. I didn't set off Dropbox. Oh well. No, we can only go back 100 queues over even 10 years. But it's just a function of the manageable size of the database. So if people want to pursue particular issues, we've done this with a few times. We've given people access to our database not just on a day-to-day basis, but actually allow them to download the whole thing. I mean, we're talking gigabytes of data, but if you really wanted to pursue something like that, that would be a way to do it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I just did a screen capture of that. I can post that later. With everything else too, but Pete will give us the PowerPoint. You guys can go through and review it yourselves or look at it online and click the links or download the links. Any other questions from anybody? No, well, all's quiet. Well, Pete, thank you again very much for joining us. Fascinating, especially with the bands improving so much, and with Bouvet coming on pretty soon, and all the other DX that's happening on all the different bands. It's great to have another resource to go chasing with. It's we've got a fair number of people, probably 20% that I know of in the club that chase DX. And probably more than that don't even say so, but it's something that that a lot of us are in pursuit of. And plus, everybody, don't forget about the volunteers on the air with W1AW / call sign area. That's going on right now, and you can earn points, and you can chase after those. And anybody you talk to that has some sort of a league membership or a league field office, you get points for. I mean, how many points, if somebody talks to you, Ray, on the air, how many points are you worth? You got to unmute yourself first, though. Hello, there you go.
150.
150 points. Okay, so if you catch Ray on the air, he's worth 150 points, which is pretty amazing. I think my life membership gives me 2 points.
Whereas you're an ACC, I think that you'll get more points with that, and the system will prioritize based on position.
And it does it automatically too, right?
And you get 5 points for being a VE too, so.
Sounds good. So is anybody here chasing those? I know Harold is, because I know he likes paper. It's on my agenda. I haven't quite gotten to it yet, but I will. And hopefully everybody else will too.
We got Nebraska at 5 watts, but they were not on CW very much. It's been challenging. I noticed in this presentation that they were on 20 meters a few minutes ago. Today's their last day. It's W1AW stroke 0. So
well, they'll be on some. If you there's a master list, you can look and see what states are on. I know you and Keith just registered to help out activating Massachusetts here in April, but each state is on twice a year, so you'll have another opportunity to work them if you miss them this time. So anyways, Pete, thank you again very much, and thank everybody for joining us tonight. And you can go back and watch this video again and learn more, pick up more. You can watch the PowerPoint presentation. Everything should go up on the HCRA website. Thank you for joining us, Pete. Hopefully you'll hear us all on the air, and we'll see you on the Reverse Beacon Network.
I hope so. And for heaven's sake, if you want to just come on the reversebeacon.net, come on the network on your browser and play around. See what happens. I think you'll have fun.
Definitely something to play with. I'm bookmarking it right now, and we'll make good use of it, hopefully. So everybody have a good evening. And
Very interesting. Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And don't forget to
Thank
join
you.
us on the 10 meter
Pete.
net next Monday at 7 p.m. and 28375 also. So have a good night, everybody.
Good night.